Okay, so this is a very quick option between Quicksum and for loops. It's a personal preference for everybody. So if Quicksums are very complicated for you and they're confusing you, you don't have to do them. You can do for loops instead. So I'll quickly go over that. Um, if you remember and you've been following through the Marine Weekly videos so far, you'll understand that this is just a sum of all the 15 different decision variables. But you don't have to do a Quicksum. What this is doing here is basically taking revenues and summing for all 15 of the decision variables and assigning them to revenues. And then in this line of code, it's saying maximize revenues. And this revenues is the same as this one. But another way to do this is you can use for loops. So the way you do this is you do for S in sections, for A in advertisers. You up here you define revenues is equal to 0. And then here you do revenues plus equals. And you can take all of this stuff here, and then you're done. And then you would just copy the same line over here and put it here. So what this would do is these for loops, obviously there's 3 of these, 5 of these, so this line will run 15 times, and it'll keep adding onto revenue whatever S is here, whatever A is here. Like every single time it'll run, and all of these will be added onto revenues, and then you put revenues in here. So why do people use Quicksum? Quicksum is helpful because it can all be done in one line. So for those of you for whom this is coding comes easily, so you could take all of this here and put it in here. And this is perfectly fine. This would run, and this is very, very simple because only one line, but it's very complicated because it gets very complicated here. This is more complicated, it's got more lines, but it's very easy to see. And it's very easy to debug also, so that's why I prefer for loops. So these two are the same. So if we go down to constraints, for example, we talked about this one. So here again, you have a Quicksum. This can also be replaced by a for loop. So quickly showing you how to do this. So let's copy this right here. They're going through each advertiser, and then obviously if there's a minimum, then for that advertiser, they're doing the sum of all the ads across the 3 different sections, right, for each section. The sum of all those 3 should be equal to whatever the minimum is. So another way to do this is you do, again, let's do ads allocated sum is equal to 0. And then you do for S in sections, and then you ads allocated sum plus equals. And you can take this thing right here, and then you can copy this and take all of this and replace it with this, like this. So these two are the same. Again, why? Because for each advertiser, so let's say the first time around this will be AS. For that AS, or advertiser, it's going to go through and run 3 times over the 3 different sections, and each time it's going to reset to 0, and on that 0 it will add in these things, and then this thing will be passed into your constraint, which will be greater than or equal to whatever your minimum is over here. When this reruns for the next advertiser, ads allocated will be reset back to 0, and then for I guess what's the second one? It's boat cruises. For boat cruises, it will then again add up the boat cruises for all 3 of the sections, and then create a new constraint for boat cruises. So we'll do this every single time, and these two are also exactly the same. So you can choose, again, for loops over Quicksums if Quicksums are confusing you. Or you can do a combination of both, where you find them easy, do Quicksum, where if it's really confusing and it's tough to debug, use a for loop.